Hello, welcome to part 3 of our Solana Phantom deep link tutorial. Today I have something cool for you. We're gonna validate the transaction that we created in part 2. So let me quickly show that in the app. The repository is open source, so you can just download it and try it out. And I'm on the wrong screen. So here's the app. What is new is now that after I sent the transaction, we also validate that it went through. So what I'm doing is I go to Phantom sign transaction. So this will send 0.001 Sol to another wallet. I approve, and now we are back in the app. What it does now is every 3 seconds it checks if the transaction is valid. So currently it's not processed yet. So as soon as it's processed, we will see that the transaction is now confirmed. And as you can see, there's like a /31. The reason for that is that I couldn't get the confirmations from the result yet. So I'm investigating why it's always returning as null. But as soon as this is done, you will see that it's finalized, and then I will show you the code, and I will show you a bit how that it's actually nothing is magic in there in these. See, now it's finalized. So let's go back to Unity. The app is basically the same, but I want to show you the code. So I start the app, and then we're gonna debug through what's actually happening there under the hood, like how the communication with the RPC nodes works. So I start the project, and then the breakpoint will hit, and here you can see what we are doing. So I'm just starting an async task with the signature that I got from Phantom. So that's the thing from part 2, like we sent the transaction and Phantom sends us back a signature. And then what we do is we take the RPC client and call get signature statuses. And this might sound like very complicated and all, but let's just debug through it. So all it does is it creates here, it sets the method, which is get signature statuses. And if you look it up in the Solana documentation, you can see the whole classification of this. So what it needs is an array of the transaction signatures in base 58 encoded, which it already is when Phantom sends it to us. And then we can also search the transaction history. And then the result will be the status of the transaction. So we go through here. So then let's see what it does. Send request async. What it does is it builds the JSON RPC request, which is nothing else than these few settings here. Then we go to send async request, and here you can see all it does. It just creates a JSON from it, which is just looks like this. Then it does a Unity web request, so very straightforward. It just does the post, then sets the JSON to send, and then later when we get the result, we just take the text from the download handler and convert it back into an object. So now we have here a list of status signature status, but as you can see, it's null. So, and I couldn't figure out yet why it's null. So it's always null whenever I do this get signature statuses call. So I asked the question in the cool new Solana Stack Exchange. So here you can just ask questions and get answers. And I answered a few things already that I knew. And I also now ask the question why the result of this is always null. But we wouldn't be here if we wouldn't find an easy workaround. So what we do now instead is we just get all the signatures for the address async. So we just put in the Phantom public key that we got from the login. Then we want the 10 last signatures, and we want the commitment to be at least confirmed. So it can be either confirmed, finalized, or processed. And it's as long confirmed as long as until all the confirmations are there. I think it needs 31, and then it will be finalized. So what we now have here for this call is the one that's actually working, is we get a result of 10 signature start T infos. And here you can see the confirmation status is already finalized, and here is the signature. And now I just loop through all these signatures until I find the one that we got from Phantom, which is the signature that starts with 3EK, and that the confirmation status is finalized. And then I say the transaction is finalized, and then here I just, depending on the confirmation status, I just show a blim like these little texts on the screen. And then when the transaction is not finalized yet, I just do the same thing again every 2 seconds until we get a finalized transaction. And yeah, this is basically it, how you validate that the transaction is successful. And you can see that the communication with the RPCs is actually quite straightforward. It's just sending a JSON and getting a JSON back. And then you can just look here in the documentation from Solana what you need to set and what you get back. And what we now did is we used the function get signatures for address, but I'm not very happy with that because it's a bit of an overkill. Like, we don't need to get 10 transaction signatures if we only need the last one. And we also don't get the confirmation amount, because it would be really cool to like count up this little number like they do here on SoulScan when you check the addresses, and like slowly counts up, and then you get this nice green check mark. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get this running. And then I also got the question to make a video about, so that this also works on WebGL. And yeah, it would also be nice to have a little UI here on the side, I would say, like a little spinning circle for every transaction that you are having, and then it turns into a check mark. So this may be a thing we do next. And yeah, many more topics as well. Like, we need to put it on Android, and then we need to put it in the iOS store. And yeah, if you want to follow along, you can just subscribe to your channel and yeah, check out the repository, try it out yourself. Should be ready to go. See you in the next one. Hello, it's me again. So I figured it out. Actually, the only problem was that in the function I should call it with true, so search also in transaction history. So I will quickly show you how cool it is now. So I do a transaction, and now it also counts up the already the confirmations from 0 to 31, what I said earlier, which didn't work. So now it works. So now it's like slowly counting up, depending on how fast Solana is, obviously. And then in the end, it says transaction confirmed. So let's see if it works. It's still at 10. 12, 13, 16. Yeah, because otherwise, if we don't call it with true, it just looks somehow into the local cache of the validator and doesn't look into the whole history. And yeah, someone answered me. It was very nice on the Solana Stack Overflow. And I can quickly show you the code, because it's also way nicer now, since we don't need to get all these transactions anymore. So it's just the function I showed before, get signature status async, and then we get a multiple of these results, and we just go through it. When it's null, then it means it's not processed yet, and we try again. And as soon as it's confirmed, then we have the confirmations here. But they are null as soon as it's finalized. So that was also a thing that I had a null pointer earlier. And yeah, now I just check when it's finalized, I show finalized, and then it will end here, and then everything is fine. See you.